Hey everybody, how's it going out there in internet land? This is David Barrett, one of the hosts for Music, Movies, and Movie Music. This is a podcast that we've been doing about everything that people love about music and movies. The Great Escape, I call it. And we're here with one of my really good friends named Jack Goody, and he's going to share with us a lot of the bands, concerts, artists, directors, and actors and writers that he's loved over the years. So, first of all, we're going to start off with this. We just got back from Hollywood, Pasadena, Van Nuys, and what was the other one? Burbank.
Burbank.
So, speaking of Burbank, we went to my first time going to the Hollywood show. This was at the Marriott Burbank, right across from the airport. It happens 3 times a year. Used to be 4. And I've heard about this event so much that I was so excited to finally check it off the list. A bucket list moment for me, where if you don't know about the Hollywood show that happens, it's basically a cavalcade of stars, the 60 plus stars from mostly the late 60s and who are still alive at that time, all the 70s and all the 80s, maybe a little bit of the 90s. So people are dying off. So these conventions, in particular, the Hollywood show, features people. I mean, over the weekend we met Susan Olsen, Cindy Brady from Brady Bunch. We met Charo, who was on the Love Boat, and Johnny Carson. And wow, I mean, she's a great flamenco guitar player. The great Charo, look her up. She's amazing. Michael DeBar, singer at Power Station, Silverhead. He was in MacGyver, Miami Vice, actor, singer from England. Amazing, very cool person. And it was amazing. The singer of the Runaways, Cherry Curry. The singer of Bow Wow Wow, Annabelle Lynn. Dave Davies from the Kinks. This man witnessed all of this greatness. We grew up um, right under 10 years apart. And how was your experience for the Hollywood show? I mean, wasn't this it was like a blast from the past, right? Like just going through those halls.
It was not only a blast from the past, but like I told Dave, I was pleased at how nice almost all the stars were. There was only a couple that were kind of sour and full of themselves, but almost all of them were very personable. Would have conversations with you. Didn't seem like they were in a hurry. Paul Williams, the guy that's written, I, how many songs, hit songs, just an amazing number. Wrote a lot of the Carpenters. What else did
He
Paul Williams
co-wrote the
wrote?
theme to the Love Boat.
Love Boat, yeah.
So many. He's collaborated with so many people, from Elvis to Daft Punk to um, writing soundtracks for the movie Phantom of the Paradise. I mean, he was one of the biggest legends that was there this weekend,
Mm-hmm.
and he was at the Monsterpalooza festival, 15 minutes away from Burbank at the Hollywood show at the Monsterpalooza. Happens twice a year, and that man is to me more of a legend in the music and the movie world than like 1,000 other people. Paul Williams, if you don't know, look him up. That man has accomplished more, and to our surprise, we see on his banner he won a Golden Globe, maybe more than one, an Oscar, who knows, maybe more than one, and a fucking Grammy. And I'm always saying, well, fuck these awards, they don't mean shit. But when it's all said and done, when that man dies, he's one of those guys that's the holder of all of them. And singer, composer, actor, you know him from one of the Planet of the Apes movies, Smokey and the Bandit as Little Enos, and Phantom of the Paradise as Swan, the owner of Death Records that screws over Winslow Leach in Phantom of the Paradise, directed by Brian De Palma. And Brian De Palma, Scarface, Carlito's Way, The Untouchables, Brian De Palma. So yeah, Phantom of the Paradise, Paul Williams, like what a
Paul,
legend. He was in the Muppet shows, the Muppet movies.
Paul hit me about right here in the
Yeah,
top of his head. Little
guys
bitty
like
guy.
5'2" or
Yeah,
3,
but very,
and
very kind and friendly.
yeah, he was very appreciative of his fans. I filmed a panel discussion and Q&A with Paul Williams, and then even at the table, I didn't get to answer the question, so his handler was like, "Yeah, go ahead." And Paul, he talked to us more than we were planning to be there. It was one of those moments where, like, well, this guy's got a line waiting. He's he's just sitting there sharing stuff with us. We're like, I couldn't even believe it. I've been to 1,000 conventions, music and movie related, but that moment with him, and to what I feel that man's accomplished, we should just do a whole show on Paul Williams. So I'm telling you, look him up if you've been living under a rock for the last like many years. But what a legend, man, Paul Williams. And so more about the Hollywood show. Let's see, Heather Locklear we met, and she was really cool. Adrian Zamid, Bowser from Shana Na, and Lorenzo Lamas from Greece. Both of them were in Greece. There was a panel discussion about Greece and a Q&A session with Bowser, Lorenzo Lamas, and the producers and the directors of that movie. It was epic. I mean, Greece, you know, John Travolta, Olivia Newton-John. There was also a Jaws panel discussion. Richard Dreyfuss was supposed to be there. He canceled, as things do happen at these conventions with that, last minute cancels. But they had a couple actors in the movie, not very well known, but in the movie, and then they had producers and directors talking about Jaws and the impact that movie made. To this day, you know, when we're all dead and gone, Jaws is gonna still forever live, right?
One of my favorite lines from Lorenzo Lamas was when they were talking about Grease, and that was his first film, and he said that he didn't have any lines at first, and they wanted to give him a line that he had to stand next to Olivia Newton-John to give the line, and he was just like gaga.
Yeah, he was a big fan. You'll see the footage on my other channel, Entertainment Getaway TV, where in detail he talks about how he was such a big fan for Olivia that he's like, you know, I'll you know, do anything, put me in there with her. And you know, he was a really cool guy. We went up to his table and he gave us some time to even answer a question for me about who's his favorite cameo, guest star on Renegade, his show. And you know, the man was just so pleasant, very professional, again, appreciative of his fans. The Hollywood show, I'm telling you, we met William Shatner from Star Trek, Twilight Zone, T.J. Hooker, Boston Legal. The guy's about to put out a heavy metal album with guest stars like Zakk Wylde and guitar players of Judas Priest on this heavy metal record. I know that seems like it's so hard to believe, but Pat Boone did it with, you know, Pat Boone Goes Metal. So now William Shatner, he was asked by some band in the metal world, Behemoth or somebody, to do like the spoken word part. And it said it kicked into gear like, hey, I should just get the best of the best of the metal guys and make a metal record. So anyway, that's coming out. William Shatner was there, and we met him and got a picture with him. 94 years old, the man is, 94. And Clint Eastwood just turned 96. So big time movie world down there, movies and music. I mean, we even met two porn stars, Tiffany Million and Amber Lynn. And Tiffany Million was a Glow girl, Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling. That was the TV show, and she was actually on there before she became a porn star. And then she did an interview with me there and said how much she's that opened the gate for her, that she became a bounty hunter in real life. And then they wanted to film a show about her, the female bounty hunter. So, again, Tiffany Million, look her up. What a story. You know, so many cool people there. Stutter and John from Howard Stern was there. Andy Dick, the son of Lurch. We just turned around and even had an area on his table called Lurch Merch. It was amazing. So, even if you're not an actor and your famous sibling actor dies, you can go. Bela Lugosi's granddaughter is making appearances, as well as I think maybe Lon Chaney's kin did. I've been covering these conventions for a while. So anyway, if you, the people out there, no matter where you live, want to plan a trip, the Hollywood show happens every year, like clockwork. The last weekend of May, which happened to be my birthday, we went down there, and it was a bucket list for me. 60 plus celebrities. It was amazing. So, if you ever want to go down there, it's at the Burbank Marriott, right across from the Burbank Airport. And you can go to the Hollywood Show. They do it, I heard 4 times a year. Now they brought it down to 3 times a year. But one of these is that into May, and it just so happens to be 15 minutes away from Burbank to Pasadena, is the Monsterpalooza convention. And I have been to this in the past when it's in Burbank in the middle of October and when it's in Pasadena into May. We had the pleasure of meeting one of our great musical idols, Alice Cooper. I mean, he was just saying hi to his fans. It's not about like you can't go up to him if you don't have anything. You just say hi. And he came out from behind his booth and shook his hand. He had his black glove on.
Yeah,
I mean, it was just.
I think
like,
those were for sanitary reasons.
That too. Hey,
yeah.
I don't blame the guy. Come
No.
on, how old is he now?
Yeah.
At least close to 80, if
Gotta
not.
be.
Alice Cooper, he's for the fans. For the second time, I met the guy in Las Vegas. First time meeting him. Me being from the band Mannequin Planet, he's a huge freaking idol of mine. Maybe one of the best. Not even so much for the songs, because they're okay to me, but his theatrical show when he brings out the nurses and the guillotine and cuts off somebody's head. I mean, he is one of the masters of the live show. Mannequin Planet, we have robot mannequins and actors, models, dancers, part of the band. So it's theater, it's acting on stage characters. So Alice is one of the big ones, and I just heard that he's doing a UK exclusive book tour where there's going to be 4 different hosts at all the different bookstores and record stores that he's going to do this book tour that he's putting out a memoir about his life and career. And Arthur Brown is one of the hosts. Arthur Brown, which was featured in the Monsterpalooza magazine, is another theatrical performer that actually lit his helmet or hat or hair on fire.
Whatever.
Anyway, look him up, Arthur Brown. He's going to be hosting one of Alice's events, and it's amazing. Alice Cooper, the effect he has on me when I met him, and this meant the world to me when I told him, hey, I have my DVD for you, my CD for Mannequin Planet, a sticker, and it was the first rock star I ever wrote a letter to. I know it sounds crazy, but I want to work with the guy. And the letter briefly said, I love what you do. The reason why Mannequin Planet exists is because of you. The theatrics, the characters, the costumes, the visuals. Never heard back from him, but I said, hey, I want to work with you, and if I have to pay you money, I'll sign the line. I really want you on a song. Mannequin Planet, Alice Cooper, past to the present. Never heard from the guy, but, I get it. He's a busy guy. He's got people around him. Maybe he wants to do something that his handlers won't let him. I don't know. But here's the thing. He was super nice to us. At this one, he was really nice to me in Las Vegas. And when I went up to him and handed him my package of Mannequin Planet EPK early press kit, he said, what's the name of your band? And I said, it's Mannequin Planet. And I gave him the brief on the robotic mannequins and the actors in a band. And he said, he looked me in the eye with conviction. He said, that's a really great name about Mannequin Planet. I swear I could have won the Grammy, that kind of feeling, or some kind of award or accolade, like Alice Cooper approved. Said that's a great name. So anyway, we met Alice again, and of course he commented on this jacket. He was totally into the jacket and the chain for Mannequin Planet, and he is, I just have to say again, one of my big time idols, second time meeting him. So I'm going to give you a rundown of Monsterpalooza, and we're going to go on to other things. But Bill Ward and Geezer Butler from Sabbath were there signing, taking pictures. Black fucking Sabbath. Corey Taylor from Slipknot and Stone Sour was there in the flesh. Alice Cooper. We even followed him around when he went to different booths just to walk around the place. It was totally cool seeing people just freak out on seeing Alice around the convention. So who else? Piggy D the guitar player of Marilyn Manson currently, and the ex-bass player Rob Zombie. Piggy D, total nice guy, gentleman, a fan himself of horror movies. He was wearing a Famous Monster shirt. He had a booth that was full of his own product that he invested in. I think that's awesome. And you invest in your own product because he's a fan of horror stuff. He was selling this black goat with lit up eyes that said stuff that came in a coffin, and it was pretty cool. It was too, beyond my price range, but really nice guy. He did an interview with me. He's a total rock star. He used to play bass for Rob Zombie. Currently plays guitar for Marilyn Manson, and has think time in the band Wednesday 13, plus his own new thing, Gabby and the Fly. So Piggy D, total gentleman, really gracious with his time, and a lot of these people are. They're just fans themselves of horror movies, of pop culture, sci-fi, and not limited to that. But wow, who was there? The two girls from The Craft, Rachel True, and the hot girl from The Waterboy and American History X, Veruza Balk. Then they had Lori Petty was there from Tank Girl. Orange is the New Black TV show. She was in my favorite Patrick Swayze movie, Point Break. Lori Petty, she was there. Glass Shield. It was so cool. Man, who else was there? Paul Williams, as we said before, Monsterpalooza. Let's see, Thomas Jane we met from The Punisher. He was great. He's in Face Off and a ton of movies, in the TV show Hung. Tom Jane, and who was the other one? Freddie Rodriguez.
There
We can't
you
forget
go.
Freddie.
I thought you were gonna forget.
We
that.
had it was great because Freddie Rodriguez and Tom Savini, the horror makeup guy, stuntman, actor, he was up there doing a panel discussion with Freddie, and it was just so cool. They were talking about Planet Terror, the Robert Rodriguez movie with Bruce Willis and Michael Biehn, Jeff Fahey, Rose McGowan, Quentin Tarantino. They showed some of this movie. They talked about working on it. Tom Savini, he's a legend in the horror world. If you go to one of these horror conventions someday, you just got to meet Tom Savini, and then you can walk away, because he's like the makeup guy. I mean, if you see the documentary about his life and career, he's a makeup guy. He actually was in Vietnam taking pictures of, tragedies that happened to the guys out there. Then he became a Hollywood makeup guy. Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, the original Friday the 13th. He got a great rep about himself. Then he got more work after that. Then he became a stuntman, and then he became an actor, as you can see from Dusk Till Dawn. The guy that flips up the thing from his crotch, that's Tom Savini. He was at the show. His booth is always full. The fans love him like the god that he is at the horror convention. And what a lineup. I mean, Gina Davis canceled. I was bummed about that, because I loved Gina in The Fly and Beetlejuice, Earth Girls Are Easy, Thelma and Louise. So that was disappointing. Paige from WWE Wrestling, she canceled, and I would have totally wanted to meet Paige, because she's hot and I love her accent, and I think she's got great wrestling skills. So anyway, if you want to go to this one, twice a year, Burbank, Marriott, for the Monsterpalooza. This is, they already have the date. I think it's October 9th through the 11th coming up. So that's mid-October, last weekend in May for the Monsterpalooza in Pasadena. So if you ever want to plan a trip, they always have the best lineup. I mean, Paul Rubens was there one year. Pee Wee Herman, before he died, he was there. There was Jason Patric, who I met, right, from The Lost Boys and Speed 2 and Narc and many other great movies, Rush. So yeah, you should really book a trip. It's worth it if you're into not only horror, sci-fi, pop culture, and comic. Monsterpalooza, man, I mean, I wish I can go every year, but I'm telling you, it's like, what a surprise. You went for the first time. Just give us your overall. I have to mention there's a museum you walk through of horror props. There's a ton of people, vendors selling masks and either stuff they've made, T-shirts. I mean, it's a big money suck, but the thing is, all these music celebrities, all these TV and movie celebrities, and then the museum. It's really a full-on experience. I mean, for me, it's been many times. How did you feel just seeing, first of all, the people in the makeup chair? What did you think of that? Wasn't that just so cool?
That was cool. So Monsterpalooza, the Hollywood show is just like Dave said, probably 60 or so celebrities from the past mostly, but the Monsterpalooza has all of this original craft type things that people made, either statuary or masks. And I used to collect masks when I was a kid. Disneyland had a magic shop that always had masks, and I'd buy one every year. These are like next level. They're form fitting to your face because they're pure latex, and they're a little bit smaller so that they fit your face. So when you're talking, the chin moves with it. I know, $275, and that was the cheap ones. The other ones were $500-$600 and up. Well, I don't really need those, but I love them. I mean, I get
just a little recap.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ruben, for bringing it up.
Yeah.
But Monsterpalooza is so epic. There's the museum, 400 exhibitors. And the thing was about the makeup chair. So they have professional people from the Hollywood movies doing makeup. So the hardcore fans will sit in the chair and have makeup done to them like they're on the set of a movie. So this is more of the experience for you to get into that part of it, or the panel discussions where different stars stand up there and talk about their work, and then the audience gets to ask them questions. Another one was Vivica A. Fox, and they were doing a remake of Night of the Living Dead. So that was another one of these movie premieres that was also a panel discussion Q&A. There was one with the great actress Sybil Danning. I filmed that as well. You can see all this footage on Entertainment Getaway TV, my other YouTube channel, which goes into depth on these panel discussions, Q&A sessions. And then, of course, I've mentioned the one of Paul Williams, the Q&A with him. And then the one with Freddie and Tom Savini, Freddie Rodriguez for Planet Terror. So it was just, I mean, and everybody you see walking around in costume, it's basically like Halloween in the middle of or the end of May. You know, it's pretty cool.
Lots of amazing costumes. And the makeup chairs, just to go off of that a little bit, it wasn't just face makeup, it was full body. They're sitting there in like a loincloth, their whole body's being painted blue or green. And they were original characters. They weren't like movie people. They were original characters that these people were creating. And there was probably 5 different booths like that, so you could watch somebody get all the makeup put on, and then you'd see them later at the show, which was kind of.
I know a lot of these fans are so dedicated. I mean, we're talking people fly out to this convention from freaking Canada, Germany. I mean, this is a big deal, you know. Like so many people there. Like I said, they want to meet, you know, all these famous people that they looked up to on the screen or, you know, through the radio, and it's just something, really something. I mean, it is a big money suck. Save your money, especially if you have to fly out and pay for that on top of the hotel and the convention and all the stuff within it. But it's so amazing. We have to mention, too, we met Lin Shaye, who's from Insidious 1 through 6, Kingpin, Something About Mary, and she was the mom in the Kiss movie Detroit Rock City, directed by Adam Rifkin. Look him up. He's amazing. So Lin Shaye, she was in Dumb and Dumber. We loved it. We went up to her. We took a picture with her. And then my friend right here said, hey, you know, we love that movie Kingpin. I'm sure you get a lot of people that ask you to do that. And she goes, and she goes, I only do that for the people that I like. And it was so,
we didn't get it
so
on
cool.
film. But
the woman's 84
awesome.
years old, and she cracks me up. I'm telling you, what I feel about Kingpin is probably one of my top, like, 3 to 5 to 10 comedies of all time. And I want to give you a little backstory. When Woody Harrelson first came out on Cheers, a show that I did like, not love, and I was like, when they brought this guy on, I thought, you know, this guy's so lame. Like, how did this hack get a job? And I just thought, no personality. He was so, and then he does a movie called Natural Born Killers with Oliver Stone, where he played Mickey. He was a fucking total psycho, man. I mean, his acting. I mean, to me, when I saw that movie, I said, "Oh my God, fucking Woody, man, is went from being the worst to probably one of the best." And then he did Kingpin, which is comedy to like total psychological thriller. And then it left me going, man, Woody Harrelson. And then he's proved later on to play some of the best villains and in other comedies. But yeah, when I first saw him on Cheers, I didn't think much of him, and just goes to show you, he does a couple roles and then a couple more, and one of the best, um, you know, in the films, in the movies, in the last like what 50 years now or something. So I'm just gonna show you guys. They were promoting this movie out there. We talked to the producer and the director of Blood and Rust, and the guy moved from Sunnyvale to Ohio, and he does independent movies. Again, watch my interview on Entertainment Getaway TV, because there you will know his name, and I'm sorry not to remember, but we got him. And they were promoting this movie as well, Wormhole. And again, same producer. Cranked Up TV, I want to say, was on his shirt, and that was his company, Cranked Up TV. So, and he produces films, right? So Wormhole, Blood and Rust, and this was at the Hollywood Show. Oh my God, we got banners, totally original banners. We got William Shatner, and
they gave those today.
Yeah, it was a birthday present that they didn't know about. Anyway, we met the man, 94 years old, Bill Shatner, Twilight Zone, Star Trek, Boston Legal, The Practice, T.J. Hooker. There he is. And then the star who did not show up that I wanted to meet from The Fall Guy, Jody Banks, Heather Locklear from the movie
Thomas.
Zapped with
Heather Thomas.
Scott Baio. What did I say?
You said Heather Locklear.
Okay. Heather Thomas. Sorry, the other Heather. We met Heather Locklear, and she showed up, but Heather Thomas did not. And I wanted to meet her. I love The Fall Guy. I love Lee Majors and $6 Million Man. So Heather was totally like one of those pinup girls like Farrah was back in the day. She still looks good for her age. I've seen pictures of her recently. So again, people, Hollywood Show, Google it. It's amazing. You'll meet every star you wanted to ever meet in the music world and the film world. That's the Hollywood Show 3 times a year, Monsterpalooza twice a year, and this happens in Burbank, California, Pasadena, California. So it is a drive or a train ride or a plane ride, but well worth it. Well fucking worth it. So yeah, give us some last details about your experience at the Hollywood Show and Monsterpalooza.
Like I said, with the Hollywood Show, it was kind of funny because I did a lap. I walked by everybody's table, and I'm like, well, okay, I think I'm done. But then we started getting selfies with everybody, and just we had conversations with these people, like many of them, like 5 to 15-minute conversations.
Yeah, Michael DeBar was so friendly with his time.
Michael DeBar was, and also what Dave didn't mention is he was also one of the lead singers in the Knack way back when, if you remember them.
And some other show that you liked with Michael DeBar that you didn't know he was the main character.
It was kind of an obscure movie. It was called Diary of a Sex Addict. I saw way back when.
Yeah.
It was about this guy that was a sex addict, and he was married and had a kid and literally went around having sex with different women all day.
Yeah.
And I thought it was a fascinating movie because it kind of probed the psychological things going on behind that. And I didn't realize it was him, or I would have talked to him about that. And then I looked him up later. And I'm like, oh, that was the main guy, and that was the guy from the Knack. And I'm, at my age, the Knack was around when I was in high school, so we loved that. Good Girls Don't, and My Sharona, and all of that kind of stuff. So it was really great, and I wish I would have realized that before. Freddie Rodriguez we talked to for probably, I don't know, 10 minutes. And then one that you forgot about, which isn't a big star, but he was a super cool guy. His name's Doug Toby. He was in Red Dawn about 100 years ago, and I don't think he did anything else other than that. But he was one of the main.
He did mention
group for
Rockford
Red Dawn.
Files, Trapper John, MD,
Yeah.
Rockford Files, and
Yeah.
probably some other stuff. But amazing how he was in this cast with everybody, Patrick Swayze and Charlie Sheen, C. Thomas Howell, all these people, and he, all these people went to be super famous, and he became a real estate agent later on in Monterey, which was pretty cool. He gave us so much time, free pictures and autographs. So if you want to look him up in the original Red Dawn, not the one with Chris Hemsworth, but the one with Patrick Swayze, he's holding up the gun, and he goes, Wolverines! Yeah, Wolverines.
He was so proud of that.
Yeah.
And that was one of his pictures, which we have actually.
Yeah.
Of him screaming that.
Yeah, it was really cool. He was so gracious with his time and just happy to be there and, celebrating. And look, he'll go down in history when we're all dead and gone, 84, where he was in really one of those big movies as big as Breakfast Club and all those kind of movies with all those great teen stars that one time in Hollywood, that happened. It'll never be like that again.
Susan Olsen, the Cindy Brady from the Brady Bunch, she was very personable. Talked to us for not as long because she had a line, but we probably talked to her for 5 minutes or so.
Yeah.
Very nice lady. And,
we agree with her being nice and smart and someone with common sense.
Yeah,
it was awesome. Who else was there? Andy Dick, comedian and actor at the show. He was pretty friendly, and it was cool. I mean, it was so cool. I mean, it was. We went to Days of the Dead together in Las Vegas. This is another pop culture horror convention, and you had a fun time at that one. What do you remember about that one? Because we're covering movies and music here, and did we get a picture, or did you see somebody that you remember there?
I don't remember much about that. I remember going, but
yeah.
Just something back on William Shatner. We met William Shatner. And honestly, he's not a very personable guy.
A lot of people have said that, so
but
I think it's pretty known.
When I was a little kid, probably 10, 11, 12, I met Leonard Nimoy. And he was signed in autographs in Antioch, California, which is bizarre. They had celebrities come and promote this apartment complex, which is just a drug haven now. But back then, they were trying to promote it. It was called Wildflower. And line was all the way down the road, and the guys walking around with their little Spock ears and their Star Trek shirts and all of that kind of stuff. He was super cool. Leonard Nimoy was very, very cool. Also met James Brolin there, Josh Brolin's father, who was in
Westworld.
Marcus Welby and the original Westworld. And
Josh Brolin's dad.
And
who else did you meet there?
Too.
Really, you met those?
That was the only two I met there.
Okay.
They didn't do it that often, and
that's big time.
Yeah, I know.
Those are two great names. I mean, a lot of you don't know that Leonard Nimoy, he really wanted to get out of acting and do directing only. He directed 3 Men and a Baby. I think the sequel, and this is a great funny movie, Ted Danson from Cheers, Tom Selleck, Magnum P.I., Steve Guttenberg, from Police Academy. Just a fun movie. Leonard Nimoy, he was even on T.J. Hooker doing an episode with William Shatner, and they play Spock and Kirk. So, the great Leonard Nimoy, and you got to meet him in Antioch. What a trip!
One of the things I remember is both James Brolin and Leonard Nimoy had their families with them, so they're there, and their wife is sitting a few feet behind them.
Yeah.
And I remember that James Brolin had at least one child running around back there, like kids do, little kid. That might have been Josh Brolin. So I might have seen Josh Brolin when he was, 4 years old or whatever. So that's kind of cool.
Trippy.
And everybody that was the other, you talk about impressions, that was the other thing at Monsterpalooza, is you got all these people walking around in these outfits, and some of the outfits are very elaborate and very cool, but it was like nerd alert, you got all these nerdy people running around with their little costumes and trying to trying to get the attention of whoever they're dressed like, or whatever character they're dressed like. Um,
Yeah.
But they were all very friendly and stuff. And Dave interviewed some of the people just walking around there, because a lot of these people do nothing but go to these different shows over and over again. We've been to several of them, but yeah, some people, that's their life, is going to these different shows. And I don't know how you afford, the stuff is so expensive. Like Piggy D, the guitarist,
Yeah.
he made this line of dolls. We're about that.
They were
tall.
black goat dolls.
They were, well,
with
not all
like
of them.
lit
That
up
was one of
eyes.
them. That
Yeah.
was Billy Baphomet was this black
Yeah.
Baphomet, basically, with red glowing eyes, and they're all in coffins. So you had the vampire, Bela Lugosi, you had the original Frankenstein, and our personal favorite, actually, I didn't know that till we went to these, but my favorite monster when I was a kid was Creature from the Black Lagoon.
That's my favorite out of all
Yeah.
the famous monsters.
Yeah,
Exactly.
which is funny because he had no expression. He just looked
Yeah.
really cool.
Yeah, Ruben, if you bring up Piggy D, separate word, and then not dolls, but yeah, Piggy D. So as again, he's in Marilyn Manson, was in Rob Zombie. The guy has his own toy line now. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I mean, look, he's living the life of a rock star.
But these
He
dolls,
deserves it.
like this
Yeah.
big, and I'm not criticizing, but they were like $150, and they were very cool.
Played for
Like,
Wednesday
there's
13.
no way for
Yeah.
$150.
But a lot of fans, I don't know where they get this money, but they're hardcore. They'll buy all the shit at the tables. They get all the pro photo ops with the celebrities. But it's a lot of fun. I mean, you all should plan a trip. Seriously, the Hollywood Show, Monsterpalooza. I can't leave out Charles Martin Smith, who we met, and right next to him was the table of the actress Candy Clark. And we're big fans of American Graffiti, so that was so cool to meet Charles Martin. And he was so gracious with his time, and we asked him about Sean Connery and Andy Garcia and the Untouchables, the Brian De Palma film. He was in Deep Cover with Jeff Goldblum and Larry Fishburne. And again, American Graffiti. He's had a long storied career in Hollywood for sure. He was so cool. I did a little interview thing with him. He took a picture with us, and yeah, Candy Clark was there. So it was just so awesome. I mean, I would go every year if I could afford it, to be honest with you. It is the epitome of music and movies, which is what this show's all about. So we're going to go on from that, because I think we covered it all. But again, there's other footage coming. But let's talk about the Hollywood Museum. So in Hollywood, they have, in the Max Factor building, 4 floors of old school Hollywood, from the Mark Wahlberg Planet of the Apes to the Charlton Heston to Hannibal Lecter, Marilyn Monroe, and Fran Drescher, and everything in between. I'm going to let you take it over and just give the people your feeling about the Hollywood Museum.
So the Hollywood Museum, when he says the Max Factor building, you go, same as I did. I'm like, well, so what? This is a beautiful building. It's all Art Deco, very ornate, lots of contours and what have you to the building. And when you're walking around, you hardly notice, but there's all these little areas off to the side that have nothing but like a sink and a toilet or a chair, and that's where
Remember
Hollywood's
that thing?
that's where Hollywood's elite actresses of the 40s, 50s, 60s went to get their makeup done by Max Factor himself, who was an actual person. And they have 4 floors. The basement, which is where, well, the floor when you walk in is a lot of makeup, and it's actually a museum for Max Factor. It's a lot of makeup. It talks about a lot of the women that got made up there. You got like clothes of Judy Garland, Marilyn Monroe, and several other starlets on that entry floor. But you go down, and in the basement is where the monsters are. And when I was a kid, monsters were the thing, and they were actually before my time. I mean, Bela Lugosi's Dracula was made, I think, in the 30s or maybe in the 40s. But But I loved monster magazines. I had all these monster magazines and what have you. And you go down there, and it's all the classic monsters. One of the things that I thought was totally cool was they have the death masks of a lot of the monster greats: Christopher Lee, Peter Lorre, Vincent Price. And these are the actual casts that they made of their face directly after they passed. So that was cool. There was 6 of them. I can't remember the other ones. But they had these little display areas, and it's a rotating show, which is really cool. So if we go back 6 months or a year, there will be different displays there. I'm sure there's some that they keep just because they're so popular. And it was only $15 to get in. So of all the things that we did, that was probably the best value that we got for our money. And there's other, there's a lot of other museums and stuff. There's a Wax Museum. There's a Ripley's, believe it or not, that has a few cool displays. And if you've never been there, I liked Ripley's, believe it or not, in San Francisco. I used to enjoy going there and reading about all these strange people and oddities and what have you. But yeah, the Hollywood Museum was totally cool, very, very beautiful, architecturally, and the colors were very beautiful. And you learned a lot about, that just reminded me what you called up there, but there was an apparatus that you put on a woman's head, and they were like calipers and what have you, but it was a full head thing, and it helped you to know, oh, okay, their cheekbones need to be a little bit bigger, the chin needs to be a little bit lower, and there were like calipers all over the whole head. It probably wasn't very effective. It was just a gimmick because they don't have them anymore.
It looked like a device out of the movie Saw.
Oh yeah.
Where somebody would, be putting this torture device and shit. But
yeah.
It was not used for that, but just amazing. I mean, Jane Mansfield, Marilyn Monroe. It was just they took the Three Stooges out and the Marx Brothers, and then replaced it with Laurel and Hardy. So I mean, they run the gamut. I'm talking about like. They even had a display with all the Catwomans, not Zoe Kravitz, but the rest of them. And it was amazing, like the way they laid it out. It was just all these props in it.
It was all of them in
so
series.
Cool.
So you had these full-size figures of, front was Michelle Pfeiffer. I think she's probably the best known to people nowadays. But second was Julie Newmar, who I thought was one of the most beautiful women I'd ever seen in my life when I was a kid. So to me, she's the definitive Catwoman. But it had Eartha Kitt, Lee Merriweather, Anne Hathaway, and
Halle Berry.
Halle Berry, yeah.
And it was really cool. They had they even had another section where it was a full display of Batman and Robin with the Bat bike, right? The Bat Cycle.
That was cool.
And I think King Tut was in the background. Yep. And the whole time they're showing. They have TV screens that they're playing on repeat. Scenes from Batman, scenes from the Love Boat, scenes from all this stuff. Marilyn's back in the day, and so it kind of like it's not only do you see like all these great props and costumes and outfits, but you kind of like taking back to that time, Bonanza, and they just it is amazing.
And great displays of Lucille Ball, who. Everybody calls everybody a genius in Hollywood, but to me, Lucille Ball was one of the true, not only comedic geniuses, but she was also a great business mind. And when her and Desi Arnaz made Desilu Productions, I bet you didn't know this, they are the ones, nobody wanted the original Star Trek. Desilu Productions are the ones that greenlit the original Star Trek, which is so cool to me. And Carol Burnett was right next to her, if you remember, who was another comedy genius.
Yeah.
You had the $6 Million Man, you had the Bionic Woman.
Fran Drescher from The Nanny had
a
it was
whole
huge.
Big section. Yeah.
And then it showed this video where she actually showed up to the Hollywood Museum and did a speech on the podium about they gave her some award or when they put her stuff in there. So it's really cool. It's like I said, you know being fans of music and movies, which the show is all about, is like just to go to these places and document it, because you know you live every day like it's your last. And I had to check the bucket list off of the Hollywood Show and the Hollywood Museum, and another Monsterpalooza for me. But yeah, look it up, you guys. Highly recommend to go visit all these places at least once in your lifetime if you are in fact a huge fan of music and movies. So we're gonna move on to Jack's favorite bands and concerts and artists when he was growing up. We talked in the car off record on our drive back to the Bay Area, and the Eagles came up, Steve Miller, and Fleetwood Mac, among others. Let you take it over. Bring us back to when you were first going to concerts, 70 something? What?
75, 76, and it was
a more beautiful time for music.
A more beautiful time, and I remember the tickets to the Day on the Greens were $17.50, and I saw the Eagles,
yes,
Steve Miller, and I don't remember who, but there was typically three bands in each one.
$20 in a stadium.
$20.
What happened?
The Eagles, Steve Miller Band, Heart, Atlanta Rhythm Section,
my God.
Fleetwood Mac.
They don't make them like that anymore.
It was incredible.
No way.
The Eagles were amazing. It was right after Joe Walsh had joined, and they did the Hotel California album. So they were playing all of that, and you kind of worked your way to the front of the stage. So we were probably 40, 50 feet from the stage, and just getting the full effect of the music. It was incredible. Glenn Fry got hit in the chest with a frisbee. He just laughed. When I saw Fleetwood Mac, that was a pretty good show, but Stevie Nicks was blasted. She was so drunk. She was falling on herself. She was so drunk. Heart was incredible. I mean, Ann and Nancy Williams, which is the dark-haired Wilson, yeah. Which is the dark-haired
Ann.
Ann can belt. That woman can hit notes that shouldn't be humanly possible. So that was an incredible.
I'm a huge fan of those girls and what they do. Just amazing heart. We've mentioned before.
One of my favorite shows, which I love serendipitous moments like this, but I went to a free concert at the Concord Pavilion, not too far from where I used to live, and it was John Fogerty. And John Fogerty had just gotten the rights back to sing CCR music, basically the music that he created and he sung, and then they sued him and said when he went out on his own he couldn't play that music. He'd just gotten the rights back. So I'm sitting there, and I mean, John Fogerty was CCR, so when he's playing every song, it's as though Creedence Clearwater Revival is playing this, and he did all of them, and it was in.
Says he was born in Berkeley, California.
He was born in Berkeley.
Yeah,
and I know the Fogerty brothers lived in El Cerrito. Yeah, there it is, El Cerrito, which is also close by. We've both been through El Cerrito many times, and you know they'd sing the "Born on the Bayou" like they're down from Louisiana, but they're not. They're local Bay Area kids. Another one of my, two of my, so I had a friend that had tickets to the Concord Pavilion, season tickets since the very beginning. So he had like fifth row center seats, two of them. And whenever he didn't want to see somebody, he'd go, hey, do you want these for face value? And so two of the groups that I saw like that were just incredible. One was Styx. And Styx had a lot of hits way back when, but I was never a particular fan until I saw them in concert. And Dennis DeYoung can hit notes. Freddie Mercury is my favorite voice in male voice and rocked him forever. But Dennis DeYoung is way up there. He can hit ridiculously high notes. Yeah. And he was on a big round extra stage. So you had the stage, and then you had this round thing that he was sitting at a white grand piano, and this thing elevated. So it elevated him up like 8 feet. And he's up there singing. It was amazing. It was fantastic. And then the other one that I saw there that was, again, I was a fan, but I wasn't like a crazy fan till after I saw her, was Tina Turner. Tina Turner was in her mid-50s at the time, and she just tears up the stage, having such a good time. She had such a beautiful energy and a beautiful spirit, She had 3 backup dancers, these young, long-legged, beautiful girls that were her backup dancers. And these girls left the stage for a break 2 or 3 times during her very long show. Tina never left the stage, never left. That woman was a workhorse. She just kept going with those long legs and those, whatever they were, 6-8 inch heels, ridiculously high heels. But that was a fantastic show, and I'm like, okay, I got a renewed respect for Tina Turner. Well, one I mentioned a minute ago that I'd forgotten about was I saw Queen when Freddie Mercury was still alive, so that would have been 1982, 1983,
Wow.
somewhere in there. Saw him in the Oakland Auditorium, and that was that was Queen. That was my jam when I was in, right after high school, I discovered Queen. I never paid much attention to them in high school, but right after high school, when I discovered them, I bought everything that they'd ever made. Of course, like everybody else, some hits, some misses. I remember when the album Jazz came out, that had some great stuff on it.
Mm-hmm.
But another one that, well.
Did you like the movie, The Bohemian Rhapsody?
I love the movie. Rami Malek.
Did they get it right all across the board?
Well, I mean, as far as I know.
How about the Mike Myers cameo where because in Wayne's World when they sing the Queen song, and then he's the guy who turns them down or something. The Contract, remember that? That was Mike Myers in the Bohemian Rhapsody.
Oh,
so it's kind of a tongue-in-cheek to the Wayne's World to singing Bohemian Rhapsody to saying this song is too long for radio. They'll never go for it. Remember that guy? So anyway, you like the movie because being a big fan of Queen, they don't make them like that anymore. Freddie Mercury,
and they have some deep cuts that you probably never heard of that were fantastic. I mean, one of my favorite Queen songs is this. It's not just an acoustic guitar, but it's called 39, apostrophe 39, about the year 1939, and it's just this awesome song with their amazing harmonies as they always have. And everybody knows, what do they know about Queen? Another One Bites the Dust and We Will Rock You. It's like, no,
the same songs.
This is not the really good stuff.
107 The Bone Plays to Death.
Yeah.
Never the deep cuts at all.
Right.
So after Queen, your second, third, fourth, and fifth favorite bands. I mean, if you could just go from Queen to who else would you say?
Well, one of the notables was I saw Steve Miller Band twice. One time I saw it right after his big album came out, Fly Like an Eagle, right? I think it was. But anyway, he stands up there. This was a day on the green, and he grabs a guitar. He stands up there, puts his head down, plays the song, sings the song, turns around, not a big bow or nothing, just turns around, puts that guitar down, grabs the next one, and starts playing the next one. And I'm like, wow, this guy's just not really a showman. Then I saw him 20 years later, and the older, fat Steve Miller was so much better of a showman than the young, energetic guy that I saw at the Days on the Green. So that was fantastic. And it was, I love that music, so it was good music both times. But it was just interesting the contrast between the two. My sister, another notable one, I saw Johnny Cash. Went over to the Circle Star Theater in San Francisco, South San Francisco, wherever it is. And Johnny Cash was playing, and I remember that June Carter, they couldn't do the song Jackson because June Carter was off with, I think it was Roseanne Carter Cash, and they were having a grandchild. I think it was their first grandchild, so she couldn't be there. But, of course, that's legend there. That was a fantastic show. And I got tickets for my father and mom, my dad and mom, my dad was a great Johnny Cash fan, and my brother and his wife, and then me and my wife. So that was a very memorable concert. Saw Kansas twice. I saw Kansas one time at the Concord Pavilion, and they were on a ticket with Pat Benatar and Cyndi Lauper. And Cyndi Lauper was at least 8 months pregnant. She was way out there. And she's still bouncing around on the stage, even 8 months pregnant. So that was kind of inspirational because she didn't let up for a second.
Think about how many shows have been. So we're in the East Bay. near Concord, California, where I used to live. And think about how many shows have been to the Concord Pavilion or
Oh
the
yeah.
Sleep Train Pavilion or whatever it's called now. I've only seen a few. Rush there twice on a couple of their tours, and then Rob Zombie with Marilyn Manson. And if there's a third one, I'm forgetting it. But you've been to a lot. That was one of the big places for you, right?
I have been to it. Well,
For
mostly
Concord.
I'd gone a lot to Oakland Coliseum,
Okay.
Oakland Auditorium.
So not so much your Concord out there.
And then Concord was later.
Okay.
When I went to Concord one time, I took my ex-wife to see Peter, Paul, and Mary, which of course they're legends also, and they did all of their old hits. That was the folksy era, right? That was late '60s folksy type of stuff.
Yeah.
And
You got good taste, my friend. All of these bands, I don't know what world of so-called music, if you can even call it that, world that we're going into. I don't hear the bands that like we're talking about, Styx and Kansas, and Rush. I mean, this is it's unfortunate that the so-called future of music seems to be like insulting to the greats. But yeah, let's go back to any other great bands that you saw or stories at these concerts or meeting anybody else
well, what's cool
for the music world.
is the contrast, like Kansas when I saw them twice. I saw them the first time probably 30 years ago, and they all had their original color hair and all of this. And the guy was very amped up. I don't know if he was on something or what, but he was like bouncing up and down and stuff. And then I saw him just 2 years ago, and the old gray-haired guys, they were fantastic. I mean, that was one of my big bands. I kind of, I don't know. I mean, Queen is its own genre, right? Rock opera, and I feel like Kansas was too. They had a different sound than everybody else. But when I saw them, I think it was 2 years ago, they were all gray-haired. Every single one of them still had strong voices, and it was they were celebrating 50 years of being in music, which is just ridiculous, and to still have the voice, because you've seen other singers and stuff that they try to do it when they're older. Like I saw Frankie Valli when he was very old, and it was cool to see him, but he could barely move. He wasn't in great shape. I don't mean that as a criticism. He's old. Yeah, I'm trying to think. Oh, I saw Blue Oyster Cult not long ago. They weren't, and it's kind of funny because some people have great music and they aren't good entertainers, which is what I put to Blue Oyster Cult in. Some are great entertainers and their music maybe is a little bit lower on your scale, but they're so good, you go to the concerts and you can't take your eyes off of them. And some have both. I mean, the true greats like Tina Turner, she had both. She had great music and she had great showmanship. She was incredible.
Wow, that's some good years between, say, well, from when you started going to concerts in '75, right?
75
Yeah, to later on, and the prices were different. All the members were there. It wasn't like two members or one member left. That's amazing, man. I mean, so nothing you've seen recently in the music world? This is mostly just all back then.
No, that was a couple of years ago. I saw Kansas and Blue Oyster Cult.
Right on.
And then, oh gosh, I just had another one that come to mind. I can't remember.
Well, we'll move on to the movie part of it. He's a big fan of movies, as I am, and I'll let you just let the people know what they may have seen and what they should see if they haven't once you hear these names. But we'll start off as a big Coen brothers fan. So Fargo.
Love the Coen brothers. Fargo.
Big Lebowski. Right?
One of the things that was cool about Fargo is they're not. They hired a voice coach to teach everybody how to talk, but they're not talking authentically the way people in Fargo do. They're talking this caricature of their speech, which is very cool because they're basically making up a new accent. And you remember how quirky the accents were in Fargo. And actually, one of the girls one of the prostitutes that the detective played by Frances McDormand is interviewing was the voice coach. So, oh yeah, those two girls that were naughty and agreeing with everything. And Coen brothers always use Frances McDormand. To me, Frances McDormand is one of the unsung heroes of the screen. She can play any character under the sun. With Burn After Reading was another Coen brothers where she was incredible. She played opposite Brad Pitt, who's another one that can do characters that just crack me up. And Brad Pitt was this dorky gym rat guy, and they were just hilarious, their dynamics between the two of them. The Big Lebowski, I mean, that's everybody's favorite, right? But Jeff Bridges was so cool in that, and was so quirky, and I get told I look like Jeff Bridges a lot since I grew my hair out, so that's kind of fun. And then what was the other one I mentioned? The Coen brothers, Fargo. Oh, Raising Arizona. No. Raising Arizona is my favorite Coen brothers, and that was Nicolas Cage and Holly Hunter. John Goodman again was in that. Just an unbelievable cast. I was watching it the other day, thinking, oh my goodness. And what I wish, Nicolas Cage is really talented with character roles. Nicolas Cage doing the guy in Raising Arizona, H.I. McDonough, and again,
give us a quote.
H.I.
When John Goodman says to Nicolas Cage about Holly Hunter wanting to tell him what to do. Remember?
Oh yeah. I mean,
give us the quote.
So many good one-lines, and Holly Hunter's getting all bossy, and John Goodman leans in and goes, "Who wears pants around here, H.I.?"
It's gold, man.
And that was another created accent. They don't talk like that in Arizona, but they made it for the entertainment value, and it was fantastic. But Nicolas Cage is such a great character actor. With H.I. McDonough, he had this sleepy, stupid look in his eyes all the time, and he's a convict. And anyway, and then the other one, Nicolas Cage was a great character actor. It was Piggy Sue Got Married. He was this dorky young guy that was trying to make his way in the music world and had this quartet, like a 50s quartet. And then they took him and made him an action star. And I don't think he's done anything in the action world that compares to his character actors before that.
One of my favorite Cage's movies, he's done some lately that have been amazing, is one with Lawrence Fishburne, and another one where he's called the Devil something. Anyway, and one he did with Kelsey Grammer, movie where these three movies that he did just in the last like 10 years, probably the best of his career. And another one he did with his co-star from Wild at Heart, the great David Lynch movie. Nicolas Cage was in a movie with Willem Dafoe again, where they played these ex-convicts that were just getting in trouble. So Nicolas Cage, say what you want about him, I'm a big fan. I love him in so many movies, but especially those three that I mentioned. Like I said, look it up. Cage and Fishburne in that one. Kelsey Grammer in the other one where he plays a guy in Vegas. And I'm trying to think of his co-star in that one. But it's some movie with the devil in it. It's the devil. He plays the devil, literally. And one more thing, I met Cage's son, Weston Cage Coppola. He was a singer in a black metal band that came to Oakland, and I met him. And then now he's doing more movies. But yeah, what other things you like? So
Nicolas Cage was born Nicholas Coppola, nephew to Francis Ford Coppola, and he didn't want to bank on that name, so he changed his name to Cage.
Yeah, and I think one of the best actors out there. I love him in Face Off. And so what were the other movies that you wanted to mention that you like over the years? I mean, actors or movies?
I like the quirky movies, so I like the Coen brothers, but I also like the Christopher Guest movies, if you've ever seen those. And the first one of those was Spinal Tap. And it's so cool. What I like about them is they are called mockumentaries. They have a very, very loose script, and then everybody's just riffing, throwing out lines and throwing out jokes and stuff. And so Spinal Tap was one of those where there was a mockumentary about a fictitious rock band, where they a fictitious rock band that just is kind of never made it big, but they're still trying and all of that. And it's starring Michael McKean, who was from the old Laverne and Shirley. Met Michael McKean one time.
How'd that happen? What?
I was in Ashland, Oregon, walking down the street, and it was like a Tuesday afternoon. It was like there was nobody on the street, and I'm walking down the street, and this guy's up ahead, crossing the street ahead of me, and we kind of met at the same point. And I look up and say the stupidest thing I can think of, which, I don't get starstruck. So most of them, I'm just like, yeah, whatever. But this is one of my on-screen heroes, Michael McKean. And I said, hey, you're Michael McKean. He looks at me like, yeah, no shit. But no, he didn't look at me like that. He was cool.
What did you like him in so much?
Well, I liked him in Spinal Tap. I liked him in
Laverne and Shirley.
Laverne and Shirley.
Lenny
he
and
was also
Squeaky.
in what was he in most recent? Better Call Saul.
Oh yeah,
he was
that's
Saul's
right.
brother, and as an older, actor, and he was good playing that crazy guy, you know.
That's one of our favorite TV shows ever is Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul, and El Camino. What a trilogy of monumental stories, writing, filmmaking, amazing. God, Breaking Bad, Uncle Jack, right? Remember Uncle Jack?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, what
And,
a psycho.
And Giancarlo's Gus, and what an amazing show. I could hardly stop watching anything after I watched that.
Jesse
It was like, what could
Pinkman-
top that ever?
Jesse Pinkman was
Yeah.
supposed to be in a couple of episodes in the first season. That was it.
Yeah.
But the fans liked him so much they kept him in all the way through however many seasons they had, which was very, very cool.
Yeah, in my opinion, one of the best shows ever. And whoever thought that Bryan Cranston from Malcolm in the Middle would become Walter White and
A crank manufacturing, science. And I remember so many times people would come to me and they'd go, oh, you know what you would like? You would love Breaking Bad. And I'd look it up. A high school science teacher decides to manufacture methamphetamine. I'm like, why the heck would I be interested in that? I couldn't figure out why. And after probably a year, I started watching it. And I'm like, oh my, I watched it.
yeah, my favorite is Mike Jonathan Banks, the great
Mike
actor
was
Jonathan
amazing.
Banks.
Yeah.
He was one of the most loved characters in
Yeah.
there. You really hated to see him die, man.
Yeah.
Bob Odenkirk went on to do Nobody and Nobody 2,
Yep.
which is this crazy action, high-octane
Bob
movie.
Odenkirk was one of the 3 final contenders for Michael Scott in The Office. It was Bob Odenkirk, Steve Carell, and last name of Cho, an Asian gentleman who actually played Jim later on in just a bit part on the show. But, he went out for Jim, sorry. Bob Odenkirk, Steve Carell, and one other guy were the 3 final contenders for. And then Bob Odenkirk did kind of a parody on Michael Scott later on in The Office, and Pam went to work there, and he was awesome. I'm like, yeah, he could have. Oh, I know what it was. He could have done it. I don't think they could have made a mistake. Steve Carell obviously was amazing, but Bob Odenkirk, and then the other one that was one of the final contenders was Hank Azaria. So Hank Azaria's done so many voices in The Simpsons.
Oh, he's just amazing.
Very talented.
If you all don't know, Hank is master of impressions, and I think he was funny as the little houseboy on what was that Robin Williams movie? Nathan Lane.
The producers?
No, Gene Hackman was in it. Anyway, he played the houseboy, Hank Azaria. And he was acting all really femmy and stuff. What was that movie called? Robin Williams. The In-Laws, or not the In-Laws, something. Anyway, what a movie! Hank Azaria plays the houseboy, and he's just a total femme queen walking around there, and hilarious, man. I mean, comedy gold. and Robin Williams and Nathan Lane are a gay couple, and Gene Hackman and his wife are like conservatives, and they see the houseboy running around, and you know, really funny. The Birdcage.
Oh,
What a
there you
build
go.
up! The Birdcage.
The
What a
Birdcage.
movie! And again, Hank Azaria, his comedic range is way beyond words, man.
He's one of the best, and it's
And
like
he does all those voices, like you were saying.
Hollywood
So-
is a lot of nepotism and a lot of who knows who, but I mean, as far as raw talent, he's right up there at the top. Hank Azaria, Frances McDormand, and yeah.
He was in even one of my favorite movies called Heat with Robert De Niro, Al Pacino, Val Kilmer. Hank Azaria was in there, such a good movie. And goes to show he even goes into dramatic roles instead of just keeping it comedy. Just like Robin Williams and Jim Carrey did some dramatic roles on the way out.
But that's difficult because comedy to me is one of those difficult genres to be really, really good at.
Mhm.
So if you start off being good at this very difficult genre, it kind of bothers. It's kind of a waste to take that person and put him into. Although I really did like Spotless Mind, the one
Yeah.
Jim Carrey and Kate Winslet.
Yeah.
Uh,
The Eternal Spot.
Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
There you go.
That was a great movie, I thought, and I thought Jim Carrey did a great job in that dramatic role, which I didn't know if he would or not. Kate Winslet, again, she can do anything. She's one of my favorite actresses. Kate Winslet, Glenn Close, Renee Zellweger. When Glenn Close, I remember when what was the movie where she boiled a rabbit?
Oh my God, that was amazing. Love that movie.
Yeah. Anyway, she plays a crazy woman.
Yeah,
in
Michael
this,
Douglas
next to
and her.
Michael Douglas, and I'm looking at it when it first came out, and I'm like, so they're getting a siren, and they're choosing Glenn Close to seduce Michael Douglas away from his
Yeah.
beautiful wife, and I'm like, this just, I'm gonna have trouble with the suspension of disbelief on this one. And then, is it up there? But she pulled it off. She's such a great actress. She comes out, and I'm like, okay, I'm in love with her, you know.
What a great movie that was.
She's an incredible.
Well, I want to bring up somebody, so we'll go from Glenn Close to somebody who's, even though he's considered an actor in movies like Ladybugs, Meet Wally Sparks, and Back to School, we love Rodney Dangerfield.
Oh, yeah.
So we have to bring up all the greats on this show, and we're both fans of Rodney and his great singers and one-liners on Johnny Carson, and just let the people know your love for Rodney and how that kind of comedy to what it is today with this over people that are so overrated to me like Dave Chappelle and these comics that just they don't have any talent in my opinion. It's just they just base all their jokes on hatred for queers and white people. So yeah, garbage. But the comedy of Rodney, Don Knotts, John Ritter, Carol Burnett, Lucille Ball, Tim Conway. Where has comedy gone? To me, it's like, man, it was better back then, man. Let's start with Rodney.
Well, it's cheap comedy now to me. They take these little things that are provocative rather than just saying something. I mean, life is funny. Rodney Dangerfield talked about just funny things in life.
Yeah.
That's my favorite kind of comedian.
He so hit the nail on the head, man. I mean, like, all the stuff he said, I mean, and again, you were saying earlier that he could say so many things in no time, and it's always fresh. Like,
it was
keeps
all
coming,
one-liners. I mean,
Yeah.
a one-liner takes 10 to 20 seconds, and this guy's just going one-line. Can you imagine an hour-long show with all one-liners? The only other guy that did that was Stephen Wright. You remember Stephen Wright? He had a lot of amazing one-liners too. I have a very large seashell collection. I keep it scattered all over the beaches of the world. I'm like, that's fantastic. I love that.
He's great, man.
But yeah, nowadays I think. I mean, and why do they have so many remakes of movies? What do they call them now? Covers of songs. that word frustrated me for a while because I'm like, that's not a cover, that's a remake. You stole somebody else's material, and some of them are good if they do something creative and what have you, fantastic. But it seems like there's a lot more of those than there used to be, and I remember saying. I used to go to a lot of comedy shows too, and I've seen a lot of comedians on stage. And when somebody was just profane for the sake of using foul language, it's like it's been done. Lenny Bruce did that a long time ago, and if that's all you have, then not interested. And honestly, most shows when I was going were like that, where they would just use this gratuitous profanity and sexual talk. And I went to an open mic one time in San Francisco, and there were like 20 people playing. Matter of fact, what I found out after we'd gotten there is my wife and I were the only two that weren't going to be on stage. Everybody else there was playing to each other. And I've never heard so much profane stuff. The women were the worst. The women were the absolute worst as far as profanity and sexual talk. And there was one guy that got up there, and he was batshit crazy. I mean, he was just speaking in non sequiturs the whole time, and you're smiling, half because you're at a comedy show, and half because, gee, I hope he doesn't, pull out a Uzi 9mm and start spraying the crowd. But yeah, comedy today, I don't watch comedy anymore. And there's a few guys that are funny, but they're the guys that, once again, are just talking about day-to-day stuff that's funny.
Yeah. That everybody can
leave the politics. I don't go to a comedy show to hear somebody's politics. I've seen two very good. I went to Second City. Second City TV, where Rick Moranis, John Candy, and a lot of the other greats of yesteryear came from.
Yeah.
I went to the first one in Toronto, Canada, and Toronto is not very, or wasn't very political then. They've got their political beliefs, but they don't bring it into the comedy. It was the funniest show I'd ever seen. It was all sketch comedy. Steve Carell came from Second City too, in Chicago.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and so then I went to Chicago, and of course, being the U.S., everything was political, and I'm just sitting there going, I don't want to hear this crap. Entertain me. Same thing happened when I went to see Peter, Paul, and Mary. They were talking about their politics. I'm like, I didn't come here to hear. I don't care what you think. I want to hear your music. Entertain me. Do what you do best.
Couldn't have said it better myself, my friend. So, wow. So that's a lot of TV, film, and music. Anything more you want to add that TV shows, movies, or music, or you think we covered it all on this one?
Well, I mean, TV shows, they've got, like you said, Breaking Bad is right up there. There's another one that very few people have heard of, but I thought it was fantastic. As a matter of fact, I was watching it before I left home, and that was, it's called The Americans. And there was a thing back in the 80s that you may or may not remember, where they were saying that Russian spies were coming in as, speaking perfect English. They had the background set up. They were married to another Russian spy and had kids and all the rest of it. And that's what this show is about, The Americans. I think it's amazing. It's about, and there's all these political things from the 80s in it that are they got pictures of Ronald Reagan on the wall in the CIA building and what have you.
Nice.
So that's another fantastic one. What other miniseries have I watched lately? I don't know. That's enough.
I mean, TV shows, Taxi. Remember shows like The A-Team and Fantasy Island?
Taxi was crazy. Taxi was so another star-studded cast.
Right,
you had
everybody
Christopher Lloyd. You had
Do something else. DeVito.
Danny DeVito was in there.
Tony
and
Danza.
They came from. I think it was after that they did One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, which is one of my favorite movies too.
Yeah.
One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, they actually lived in the Portland Mental Institution. They slept there, they ate there, and all that because they wanted to get a feel of what it was like to be around the other patients.
Yeah.
And that was Michael Douglas's directorial debut, because Kirk Douglas had bought that movie because he wanted to star in it, but by the time he'd acquired the rights to it, he was too old to be Randall P. McMurphy. He had played him on Broadway. He was
Yeah.
in that play on Broadway.
That's a lot, man. So, well, we covered quite a bit, and just again enjoyed bringing you the recap on our vacation to these star-studded events, and to just find out some history from Jack of all the movies and TV shows and music that he's enjoyed and has impacted his life and his everything. So thanks for being on the show. And again, this is another episode of Music, Movies, and Movie Music. So we'll catch you next time. And he's going to fly back to Mexico and live a great life over there. And good talking to you, man.
Good talking to you,
And
brother.
great
Thank
trip
you.
together, my friend.
Yes.
It was one of the most memorable.
It was
I mean that.
awesome.
Thank you.
It
Yeah.
was awesome.
All right. It's a wrap.